let's do a quick navigation overview of PEAT. When you start PEAT, you would see a menu bar up here and 3 levels of tabs, and we'll go through each of them real quickly. So for example, if you click on File, you will be able to load a new module based on what we saw previously in the splash screen. Open an existing file, save and save as. You can provide a military strength encryption up to 128-bit encryption protocols to protect your data. Load some examples, specific examples, or when you're in this specific type of module, you can load the example for this module. You can also go edit, copy, paste your data. For instance, if you have some data in the Microsoft Excel, so let's say this is Microsoft Excel and we have 100, 200, 300, all the way to 500. I can copy this. It could be multiple rows, multiple columns, and if I wish to be pasted in here, I can just do a right click and do a paste, or Control C, Control V, or just use the menu copy paste. All right, very easily. And by the way, you can copy paste between Excel back and forth. So for instance, if I have a grid that looks like this, I can click on copy grid, go to Microsoft Excel, okay, find the location I wish, and do a paste, and be able to paste everything in there. And of course, just readjust your column width and so forth. So nonetheless, that's your edit, copy, paste. You can also click on page management, and these are considered pages or tabs. So for instance, if you don't want to see forecast prediction, you can always turn it off, and this tab will not be seen, not visible anymore until you turn it back on. You can click on projects, and projects in this case, in this example, which I loaded a DCF, discounted cash flow stochastic model, I have 10 projects listed. You can always click on and add project, and in this case you can add as many projects as you wish, and you can always duplicate a project, duplication of a project, or delete a project. Duplicating a project is useful when you're creating different scenarios. So for example, without having to re-enter all the data, if you just want to change 1 or 2 input assumptions, you can just duplicate a project, make that change, and it will be listed as a new tab. You can also rename the project clearly, so that make it a little bit something that makes more sense to you. You can also rearrange the project. So for example, project 3 has a high priority, you want to see it first, and so forth and so on. You can also, once you're done running the entire model, which we'll spend a few minutes on afterwards, you can generate a report. And what a report will do is it will run through all the modules, all the models, calculate all the analytics, run all the simulations, optimizations, and it will put the report into a Microsoft Excel environment. So that way you can archive your report and know what your inputs are. You can create an audit trail, if you will. There are also a lot of different tools like compiler, decision trees, probably distributions evaluator, and we'll add additional tools in the future as well. So for example, ROV evaluator, if you ever use ROV technology and ROV software, it has over 1,000 different models and calculations and functions. We support, as mentioned, up to 8 languages at this point in version 2013B. So you can change the languages here. Decimal setting is your system setting, so whatever your system is set in Windows. So it could be either North American decimals or European, Latin American decimals, where the period and the commas are actually swapped. So we support both of those. Help, you can click on About. It will tell you that the major version is 2013 and the minor version is B in this case. You can also click on Install License, and what it will provide you is a hardware fingerprint. Send us your hardware fingerprint, which is an 8-digit alphanumerical value at this as an example. And what we'll do is we'll send you a specific name and key that will unlock this specific hardware fingerprint, where your software will work on your computer itself. You can also click on User Manual, which will load the user manual, and feel free to browse and peruse through it. As well as extras. Extras is always something good that you should consider reviewing, because it has, for example, PDFs on installing and licensing PEAT, a little bit more detailed, step-by-step instructions. Learning PEAT in 60 minutes or less. You can print out a 2-page instruction manual that goes through different steps, and just follow the guide, and you will learn how to navigate through PEAT in less than an hour. And also visual guides, which are just screenshots of different things, and it explains to you what is being done, how you would navigate, do some calculations and the results and so forth. And if you're a user of an older version of PEAT, it will tell you what the latest version actually comprises in PEAT 2013 and future versions as well. So certainly something that you want to go to and click on. Now, once you're back into PEAT proper, you would see 3 levels of tabs. We call these tabs or pages, if you will. So typically you would go from level 1 down to level 2 to level 3. You would go from left to right. So you drill down, and then when you're done with the lower levels, you go back up, to different tabs, if you will. So typically, depending on which module you're in, for example, stochastic DCF, buy and lease, all field reserves, and so forth, the first tab would be different. So in this case, we're in DCF. You would see the DCF, discounted cash flow tab in this case. Everything else should be fairly similar for all other tabs. So what you would do is you start from left and you go all the way to the right, but you drill down first. So in the DCF module, just real quickly, I'll give you a quick overview. You would see custom Excel tab in this case, and we'll go through and give you an example how to use this tab later on, where you can use different functions. Like in Excel, you can link to an Excel file and it will update automatically. And of course, we have different projects. In this example, I've loaded up 10 projects. Again, you can add as many projects as you wish, and when you do a file save or save as, it will be a single file, or ROV project economics file. All right. So you can have, again, 50, 10, 200, whatever number of projects as you wish, and it will be all saved as a single file. So if I click on project 1, for instance, and I drill down to step 1, discounted cash flow model, anything that is white in color are user inputs. So I would type in my user inputs in this case, and anything that is not white would be calculated results clearly, like for example, operating cash flow, free cash flows, and so forth. Then I would continue on to the next tab. And again, don't worry about the results, because we will come back and we'll spend a little bit more time on some of these modules in different videos, and you can try to understand this a little bit more. You can go to cash flow ratios, enter additional data as required, and here are your calculated results. You can always click on, again, copy grid, go to Microsoft Excel or Word or PowerPoint and do a paste, and your results will be pasted into whatever document that you want to be pasted in. You keep going on to the next tab. Again, all you've done as a user is to enter in data, or again, right click, copy paste from Excel. All right. And once you're done entering the data, all you need to do is go to those different tabs. And in this case, you have your economic results. You have your, in this discounted cash flow module, NPV, net present value, with terminal, without terminal, internal rate of return, modified IRR, profitability index, payback period, return on investment, and so forth. Now, depending on which module you're in, you might see different key performance indicators. These KPIs are specific for discounted cash flow. So in the oil and gas or in the cost and schedule analysis module, you might see different KPIs. In here, you can navigate through by clicking on a few buttons and say, discrete versus continuous discounting, add decimals as you wish, reduce decimal precisions. You can change different charts as you want to see, net income chart, for example, net present value, and so forth. If you're happy with the results, you can always copy that chart. Again, go into Excel, PowerPoint, Word, and do a copy paste, and that's your chart right there. All right, or generate report, and it will automatically generate all the charts for you automatically. You can also play with some of the chart functionalities by zooming in, zooming out, moving things left and right, putting in grids, taking grids off, seeing results, seeing values. Okay, there are many things, changing the color of the charts, and so forth and so on. So anything that you see in here that are icon specific, that's next to a chart, are chart specific controls. We have discount rates, net present value. So these are just economic results for you for your DCF. You can also go to information and details and enter in anything that's specific, any information that you want to that pertains to this project specific. And for example, you can also change the categories. If you do not like the word corporate objective, if you like things like business unit objective, or change it to anything that you want to, in here, and these will be updated automatically for you. You can also link to a file, for example, whatever file that you want to link to, and it will come as different icons at the bottom here. So in the future, if you are, for example, if you're linking to a PowerPoint or Word document, to a contract or to a presentation, or even Excel models, that way you can say that project 1 has this link to these different files. And it's just a very nice way of identifying, or putting together all these subsequent files, associated files that's linked to this project one, if you will. So you can replicate these different projects, which is what I've done here for up to 10 projects. Okay, so notice this is in level 2. It's still under DCF module. So we're still on single point estimate. These are individual inputs. All right, so now when we're done, and by the way, for each of these grids, you can change the different starting year and ending year. These are columns, so 2015 to 2035. You can see it goes all the way to 2035. There is no limit, so you can keep going. For revenues, you can add as many rows, as you wish. Same thing for direct expenses, indirect expenses. All our modules have the capability of expansion. So it is extensible and expandable. So you can add as many rows and columns as you wish, and you can increase the grid size as required. And you can, again, copy the grid, view full grid. If you have a much bigger, computer screen, you can actually view the large grid. Then when you're done, notice that projects 1 to 10 are on level 2, and to the right of it is a portfolio analysis tab. And since that is at the same level as level 2, it will summarize all of your 10 projects in this case. So if you recall, my KPIs are NPV, IRR, MIR, and so forth. So at one glance, you can actually see IRR for those 10 projects and say internal rate of return, project 1 is most profitable. Looking at net present value, what's most profitable, and so forth. You can, again, change the charts as you see fit, profitability index, and whatever you need. Add grid lines, make different modifications to your charts. Copy those charts or click on charts, and it will pop up as a much bigger chart that you can manipulate and do a little bit more work on if you want to. To the area, you can zoom in, zoom out, copy that chart, and again, you can go to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and you can paste that chart in there. All right, and so we can, in this case, paste a chart in here as you see fit. So you can replicate all these methodologies regardless of what module you're in the first tab. And also sometimes you get additional gratuitous tabs, in this case discount rates or weighted average cost capital, because we are looking at discounted cash flow. So in DCF, one of the inputs will be your discount rate. So we have a little calculation tool for you. You can use a simple WACC or a more detailed WACC. Load example is always a good idea. It will load up some details for you. Make any changes as you see fit. Okay, click on this. It will update, and you can calculate your weighted average cost capital at the bottom here. It will give you the results. If you have raw data like stock prices, your company stock price, or price of oil, price of gas, price of electricity, whatever it is, and you're trying to calculate the relative risk or beta coefficient, you can also do that as well in here. So again, load example and compute, and we'll calculate your beta coefficient, which by the way is used in your weighted average cost capital in here, stock beta. So very easy to do. The first tab in this case, calculates on a specific unique single point estimates, single point inputs of your model, and it calculates your results for you. All you need to do is entering the data, copy pasting the data, and navigate and click on some of these tabs. So what we'll do next is we'll go ahead and show you some of the other capabilities like custom Excel linking, and we'll go to Apply Analytics. We'll look at scenarios and tornado sensitivities. We'll look at running simulations. For example, how you would run a Monte Carlo risk simulation, multiple trials in this case, and obtain results, simulated results. Run overlay charts where you can compare multiple projects at once. So this is now dynamic or stochastic analysis, for example. Okay, and we can figure out what's your probability, that you will break even, and so forth and so on. We can look at analysis of alternatives. We can look at volatility as a comparison, dynamic sensitivity. We will look at option strategies where you can look at different investment strategies and so forth. So here's an example of a strategy tree. Okay, we'll take a look at how we would navigate through an option strategy, and of course do an options valuation. So what is an option to abandon? What's an option to contract? Option to wait, to switch, a barrier option, sequential options, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and so forth. And you can see examples in here. look at the sensitivities, run tornadoes on the option analysis and scenarios on the options, do some forecast analysis, so some forecast predictions, something that we'll do in a little bit. For instance, these are actual data, historical versus forecast values, how we do some predictions, run some additional analytics, create different charts, if you will. Here's a control chart to see if you're in control or out of control on your processes. So we'll go through a lot of functionalities here. We'll look at portfolio optimization. So how do you optimize a portfolio given different budgets and different projects? Okay, what is the optimal number of projects and which projects do you choose given that there are 10 projects or 20 projects or 100 projects, and if your budget is only $3.5 million and you need to choose the best 7 projects, which ones do you choose and so forth? How to set that up? You can create your own advanced optimization as you see fit. And once you're done, you can click on dashboard. And what dashboard does is it looks at all the results that you've created that is run. So it might take a couple extra seconds. And you can save all the dashboards as you wish on here. So here's an example of a saved dashboard that I've created. So you can select different charts, different grids, different texts, okay, from a series of results that you've generated. And when you're happy with it, you can view your dashboard, and out comes your dashboard. Think of it as a management dashboard. So you can put text in there, you can do data grids, results, and so forth. And you can save all of these things. And of course, we have a knowledge center. And in Knowledge Center, it has step-by-step procedures, which is pretty much what we're doing right now. You can step through all the different procedures in a little bit more detail. You read through it. You can look at basic economic lessons. What is a net present value? What's internal rate of return? And so forth. Or you can click on Getting Started videos like this. Click on it, and it will show you the video that we're looking at this point. So a lot of different functionalities that we can do. So we'll go to the next segment and we'll take a look at tornado analysis, simulations, options, optimization, dashboards, knowledge center, and so forth.